Hey guys, welcome to day 24 of PODMAS. This is your girl Steffi Kiss. If you don't know, it is almost the last day of PODMAS because I will be posting, or I have posted, 25 days of PODMAS where I release new mini episodes to gift you topics you can expect to hear on the upcoming Autism Mommy podcast, which is set to release on Monday, December 27th. Now, before we get into today's episode, well, first and foremost, I want to tell you happy Friday. And it's also Christmas Eve, y'all. But before we get into all of that, I wanted to remind you to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Listen, it's day 24. You already know. I want you to rate 5 stars. I want you to leave a review. Let me know how I'm doing. Any topics you want to hear, or any guests you want to hear on the podcast, let me know in the review section. Also, subscribe so you don't ever miss an episode, so you can keep up to date on all things Autism Mommy podcast, wherever you're listening to this podcast: Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart, wherever. Just make sure you subscribe. Also, sign up for my mailing list. The link will be down below. You want to make sure that you're the first one in the know of all things that are coming up. Lastly, follow me on Instagram for the day-to-day shenanigans with me and Ethan. Me getting on his nerves, him getting on my nerves, us singing our morning brush song, all of that. You just want to make sure that you're down and you know what's going on. _ Steffi Kiss, STEPHYKISS. Again, everything will be linked down below. Now, we're going to get into today's topic. It's Friday and it's Christmas Eve, so you already know this might get a little heavy. Today, we are talking forgiveness. When we think about forgiveness, we think about having to forgive others for the wrongs they have done to us, and not necessarily how to forgive yourself for the wrongs you have done yourself. As I mentioned in day 3 of PODMAS with my mom guilt, I felt for a long time that Ethan's diagnosis was some way, somehow my fault as his mother. Did I not take care of myself the way I should have while I was pregnant? Was it the fact that I didn't breastfeed? Should I have been more precautious with his immunizations? Was it a gene that I passed down to him? All of these went through my mind at some point, and it festered inside of me and led to depression, weight gain, and anxiety attacks. After speaking to a therapist, I realized that I needed to forgive myself in order to move forward and be able to not only progress, but also help my child progress. Forgiveness means that you accept what has happened and you are willing to move past it and show compassion for yourself. Even if it were my fault, which it wasn't, I had to accept Ethan's diagnosis and build and grow from it. I needed to take responsibility of our lives to be sure he would be able to live his best life. Ruminating in sadness wasn't going to help him or I get where we needed to go. Apologize to yourself for what you've done or felt you have done. After feeling as though his diagnosis was my fault, I felt as if I still wasn't doing enough by being a full-time working mom and not being home for therapies. I felt guilty for worrying about the financial and not necessarily the day-to-day steps at home. I felt guilty for being tired after working all day and not having the patience to always do the work needed for him to progress. Once I forgave myself for those actions, I was able to learn from my mistakes and move forward. I wrote a letter to myself and apologized for being too hard on myself. I apologized for thinking every decision I made was the wrong decision. I apologized for constantly second-guessing myself. Forgiving yourself often requires finding a way to learn from the experience and grow. No matter how old you are constantly learning each and every day. You are bound to make mistakes. But you know what's the one thing you can always take away from a mistake? How you can avoid to make the same mistakes over and over. Learning that blaming myself only caused insecurities and lack of self-esteem taught me to be easier on myself and my decisions. While there will always be things that you could have done differently, it's not healthy to live in the past when the future can be so bright ahead of you. Remember, mommy, the most important person in your life is yourself. Because in order for your little one to have the best possible life, you have to be at your best to love and guide them in the right direction. As long as you are here every day putting in the work, loving, supporting, and providing a safe space for your child, everything will fall into place because you are in a space to make the appropriate decisions for your little one. Forgive yourself because it can make all the difference. And as always,
bitch, you doing a good job. Bitch, you doing a good job. Bitch, you doing a good job. Bitch, you doing a good job.